Hello there, Maverick Currency Traders. This is Rob Reinhold. Happy Wednesday. And we had a ton of news today, so let's get into it. In this session, we're going to go over that news. We're going to look at how it affected the markets. And then, as always, we take a new look at the markets. We score everything from +3 to -3, and then we pair up the strongest against the weakest for our trades.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Well, let's jump into this morning. This morning we got CPI came in below expectations. Now look, this market has been worried about creeping inflation, and this report came out just really good. Overall, we had the headline number was at 0. So 0% on the headline number month over month, 3.3% year over year, and the core number was supposed to be at 0.3, it came in at 0.2. So I have been saying for all of this year that I don't think there's going to be any rate cuts. Guess what? I'm changing my view that there is now absolutely the Fed can cut rates. It can absolutely cut rates now. We've had Bank of Canada, ECB cut rates. It's there, and I think they're going to do it sooner than later because I think they don't want to be seen as political going into November. So I think we're going to get a rate cut next meeting in July. Equities love the news. We went to new all-time highs, and then we heard from the Fed today, and they came out and they said, we expect 1 cut this year and 4 next year. So look, my opinion is now in line with what the Fed is saying, and the market liked it. The market liked it quite a bit. Let's take a look at the activity in the Forex market, because what we saw initially was a big sell-off in the dollar, big sell-off in risk assets, and then when the Fed came out, they weren't as dovish as people were hoping they were going to be. And so the dollar got back about half of its losses. Everything was, if we took this snapshot right after the CPI, go ahead and double all these numbers, and then throughout the rest of the day, it just came down. As you can see, we have the Aussie was the best currency of the day, up 0.5%. So Aussie dollar was the best trading currency of the day. I've liked pound. Pound was very disappointing on this day. I like CAD short, and you can see the CAD short is still working as well. Taking a look at the rest of the markets, we had the S&P was up about 1.4% at its high. Just like everything else, it lost some of its gain. Crypto was up bigger, lost some of its gain. Gold was up around 1.5% at one point, lost its gain. So we got a big surge of risk on from CPI, but then everything moderated by the end of the day. Final numbers for the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, everything's up 1 to 1.5%. So where does that leave us right here, right now? Well, we are at a +3 market, and take a look. We have a clear breakout. Look, we broke out of this range on the S&P, and then we held it. We held for 5 days. It wasn't a real strong breakout and run. It was a breakout, consolidate, and now we've got this gap up. Now look, I can't look at this candle and say that it's a pretty candle. It's not a great candle, closing pretty much almost where you opened. Telling you that by the end of the day, there was only slightly more buying than selling by the end of the day because we pretty much came all the way back down to where we opened. That being said, I am not bearish in any way, shape, or form. All I'm saying is, look, the market's had a long run. The market will get tired. It would not surprise me at all if we get some of these kind of candles before we get the next move higher. But this market is so clearly bullish. I don't understand. I still have a few traders that are bearish, and I'm like, I don't even understand, if you follow technical analysis, how you could even potentially be bearish here. Let's take a look at the calendar for the next 24 hours. We do have some big news tonight with the Australian dollar. We've got the employment report. So employment report, be watching that if you are trading the Aussie. Now look, I like the Aussie short. I love the fact that the Aussie popped today. I would love to look for an entry point for short Aussie. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second. We also have the PPI out of the US tomorrow morning. Look, if these numbers are along the line of the CPI, it is going to help the market go a little bit higher. But for some reason, let's say these numbers come out hot, which I don't think they will because the PPI has been fairly muted lately, and it's the CPI that's been the issue. But if it comes out a little hot, then I think we could see a little bit more risk off coming out of the market. But I don't think it's going to be a big move. I actually see the Aussie employment report being the best news event to trade over the next 24 hours. Tomorrow night, we do have Bank of Japan, but I will let Ankit discuss that in his end of day video tomorrow. So let's go through all the currencies and let's take a look at them from +3 to -3 and find out what are our trades over the next 24 hours. All right, I'm going to go down this list pretty quickly here. Let's start off with cryptos. So here is the Bitcoin chart. Now, I talked about this. I talked about how Bitcoin just didn't have the juice to break out to new highs yet. And I said, if we come down to this 66,500, 67,000 area, that this would be a decent time to look for a buy. Now, you can see this candle. Today's candle had a nice run intraday, but by the end of the day, we've given a lot of that back. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I think this is still a decent buy price here, but this red candle here, okay, it's not great. We like to see continuation. I still think it's a decent buy down here. I am still ultimately bullish on crypto, and Bitcoin is my second favorite. Bitcoin Cash, I rarely trade this one, and here is the daily chart, and there's no reason to think it's going to do anything here. We come over here to Ethereum, and we're seeing a nice base here, and we have been trying to claw our way back into this base here, and by the end of the day, we have done it here. We have done it barely, but look, this candle is not the candle that I'd love to see off of a bottom. Off of a V bottom where they come down and then they bounce up. These aren't the candles you see at V bottoms. You usually see like a nice hammer candle. A nice hammer candle at the bottom, that's a great one. These aren't great candles telling you that the bottom is right here, right now. But I still like crypto quite a bit. I really want to just be focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum here. Litecoin looks like trash. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, I don't think it's great entries here. I think you can wait and be a little bit more patient. But I do think their next moves are to the upside. Let's take a look at our currency baskets. I'm going to take a look at dollar first. Now, I've said I like dollar as long and short. I think the dollar could be both bought and sold on any given day at any given point. At the lows, down here, hey, these look really good as buy points. Up at the highs up here, hey, these look really good as sell points. I think you can do both here. That being said, it does look like we are getting a little bit of weakening. And I cannot ignore that because as you can see here, we're making a little bit lower levels. Each time we make highs and each time we make lows, I would ultimately rather be long than short long term. And again, long term, we're talking like for the next month. I think, again, this trend looks like it's weakening a little bit. But I think you can be both a buyer and seller at dollar based on where it is in the level. I don't think it's a good like long-term play here. Like I don't want to buy it here and hold it for a couple of weeks or sell it or hold it for a couple of weeks. That is neutral at best. Yen, I like yen short. I like yen short off of any bounces, and you can see we've just had a little bit of a bounce. A little bit of a bounce that you can sell into. We are coming down to lows down here. I think if you can catch that breakdown here, I think looks really good here. Swiss franc has gone from bearish to bullish. Nothing happening on Swiss franc. I am completely uninterested on trading it where it is right here, right now. The same thing goes along with this euro. no desire to even have any of my capital tied up in this trade because it's not really going anywhere. Pound has been my favorite over the past couple weeks. You can see it's starting to give us really long wicks. Back here, we had really, really good expanded candles. Back here. This is not great price action. And whenever I start to see this, I start to say, ugh. Every time it breaks out for a run to the upside, it fails. And I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be in a currency that fails on basically every single breakout. So for me, I'm looking for something better than the pound here to go long. CAD looks great short here. It just looks great. That's all I can say is it is an absolutely great looking short. CAD is going to the top of my list for my short setup. Aussie, I liked how Aussie has been weakening. We are getting a bounce. And as you can see, we're bouncing right up into this resistance level. We got one wick here today. I want to wait and see what happens. If we can get a red candle here tonight, and I get that negative news off of the RBA, sorry, not the RBA, but the employment report, I don't see any reason why we don't come back down and touch this level. I don't know if we're going to break through that level, but I do like this as a short entry. But CAD looks better than Aussie, so I'm still going to be focusing on CAD. And as I said, I'm looking for something that looks better than the pound. And here we have some better candles than we saw out of the pound. Remember, the last couple of days, the pound has just been all dojis with long wicks. Here we actually have a trend here moving. It's right up against resistance. I can't ignore that. But for me, Kiwi is on the top of the list for the strength in currencies. A lot of stuff right here in the middle, which we don't love to see. That really gives us very few trading opportunities. I'm looking at Kiwi CAD, Kiwi Yen over the next 24 hours. Let's take a look at those two currency crosses and then we'll wrap this up. Whenever you have two currencies, you don't know which one looks like a better long or short. So we have the possibility of CAD or Yen. Just pair them up. All you do is pair them up and you say, okay, which one looks like the better trade here? And you can see they are completely flat against each other. That means, look, one is not any better long or short as the other. This is flat. So it just tells me pick one. Now I'm going to pick CAD because there is that Bank of Japan risk. So I'm looking at Kiwi CAD as my favorite trade over the next 24 hours. And you can see we've got a nice bull pullback. We came up here. We didn't have the oomph today. Now again, I'm saying we didn't have the oomph today, but what happened was the market, again, there wasn't this pair, but everything faded from its highs and lows today after the FOMC came out. I really like this setup. The only thing I need to wait for is that right here, right now, there is more selling than buying, and I want to be a buyer. I don't want to buy when it's on its way down. I want to be a buyer when it comes down and then it starts to turn back up. Just waiting for that point. I think around this 84.75, 84.80 area could easily be a good place. It could be in the early stages of bouncing right now. We don't know that. We have to wait for a green candle. Once we get a green candle that will close, this is on a 4-hour chart, then we can take positions. So this is really the only trade I want to look at over this next 24 hours. These markets, they are bullish. It would not surprise me at all if we faded a little bit after today's rally. But look, we are still on a risk-on trajectory in the equity market, which tells us we would be looking for more risk-on plays. So the Kiwi looks really good for longs. Again, that's a risk-on play, and this is a risk-on market. It's doing well when it's supposed to. The pound has gone from the number 1 slot to the number 2 slot for me, and CAD and Yen look like great shorts. So Yen looks good, CAD looks good. I'm just a little worried about Bank of Japan intervention, so I'll go play with the CAD instead of the Yen. That is the currency roundup. Everyone take care. Goodbye, everybody.